Warning: the following program may contain material not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
They say for every light in this world, there is a shadow waiting to reclaim it. We've been told what to believe, what to fear, and exactly where the boundaries of real end. But tonight, we're crossing those lines. From the whispers in the attic to the lights in the desert sky and the entities that walk among us, we are stepping behind the veil. Transmitting from deep within the mountains of West Virginia, it's time to seek the truth. This is Let's Find Out with Diego. And now, here is your host, Diego the Podcaster.
On this episode of Let's Find Out, our guest has been living the most interesting life. His journey has had many haunting happenings during his time in college, the military, on travel, and in relationships. On the last episode that he was on, we only covered the tip of the iceberg. He's a writer, director, producer, author, and most definitely haunted. With a new book and movie recently released, he's ready to make his mark in the entertainment industry and the world. All this plus more. Please welcome back our good friend, Jason J. Tavares. Jason, my friend, I'm so happy to have you back on, brother.
Cool. Thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it. Good
Oh,
seeing you again.
hey, good to see you. And, we've been, ever since I've had you on the show, I think we text each other about a couple of times a week, seeing, how you doing, how your project's coming
Yeah.
along, what's going on, giving each other support. And sometimes some of the best stories, the best moments on the show aren't even recorded. So we usually have our pre-interview and sometimes we have our chat after the episodes. And there was so much more we didn't cover on the last episode because we had that 1 hour mark already. So we're definitely going to dive into these things. But since I last talked to you, you've done a couple awesome things.
Yeah.
One, you've had a book published, and two, you released a new movie. So let's start with your new book because I understand you're with Zombie Media as well.
Yeah. Thanks to you. I mean, you introduced me to Thomas Markham, and that was really awesome because now it's like an actual company. Self-publishing is great, but I feel going through like Zombie Media, it's a name with the book, and I think, and he even promotes too, which is so nice because he had a series of questions he sent to me and had me answer them, and he features them on his website. So that's another resource that after you publish your book, you can cut and paste and share that as well for people to learn more about the writer if they're interested. And I thought that was really cool of him to do that.
Yeah, he does a great job promoting not only his own content, his channel, but also the authors that he publishes the books for and other filmmakers that he also works with. So we're definitely going to get into that. So let's talk about the book because I believe when I was talking to you last, you at one point wrote a series of stories, but they were unreleased, or you tried self-publishing at one time. So what's the name of your latest book and how long ago did you write it?
I actually got a copy right here. Hopefully it's clear. It doesn't
It
have a lot
is.
of glare. It's called The Beautiful Creature Looking Out the Door. There is my dog, and he died Friday, April 22nd, 2016. His name was Lukey Dookie. And the book is called Curb Grass, Short Stories Written Between Walks. So every story in here, and it's a big book, it's like a 300-page book. All the stories were written in 2016. It was the last story being written just prior to his death. And then I never published the book. I have all these stories. I had them on a thumb drive. I started talking to you about it, and you gave me the resource of contacting Thomas Markham. And it worked out great. He in the cover design, I'd put this on LinkedIn. I actually left a comment to Thomas. It actually made my girlfriend cry, but in a good way.
Mm.
And she was like, "That's the most beautiful cover," because she loved Lukey as well. So for her to see that, I mean, I gave him a series of pictures, and he was nice enough to put them on the inside cover. So when someone opens the book, like they'll be, taken by the cover. Then you look inside, and you got pictures of Lukey on the inside too. So I had an original idea for it, and he came up with something better. So you're not only getting a book with a great cover, you're getting, like 17 or 18 great paranormal and strange stories, which, fill the 300-page book on Amazon under
And
my name, Jason Jitterbars.
it is amazing. 300 pages, and these are stories that you thought about or things that happened in your life that you thought about during the walks, and then did you write them down immediately once you got home, or did it take time for you to?
Well, I had a period of time where I had a great deal of money, and I figured my time best spent was with my dog because I had
Yes.
been away for a while, and I came back, and if I could pick one person to hang out with, even though he's not a person, I always chose him. So I even cancel plans with people and everything to hang out with him. I know it sounds crazy, but like my friends would be, hey, let's go out tonight, and I'd be like, no, I'm staying home with my girl and Lukey because we all got along that great, and it was always fun being with him. So I had a great schedule where I'd walk him at 6 a.m., noon. He'd go out again like right after dinner around 5, and then right before bed he'd go outside to poop or pee or whatever around 8:30, and that was like 7 days a week. So since I had this freedom, and I only had to do National Guard one weekend a month during that time, all the rest of the time was spent with him and working out and doing other things that I wanted to do. So I was putting together 5 to 7 thousand word stories in 3 days, and then I'd finish it, print it, and take it downstairs. When my girlfriend came home from work, I'd read it to her and Lukey. And he was so intelligent, he'd sit like with his feet crossed on the couch and actually listen like to the entire story as if he was reviewing it. Because he was like, because one time I was reading it and I was like, geez, where is he? I look and he's right next to me listening. And we're trying not to laugh because he was like into it as if he was a person. So it just kind of was like just such a hit when I finished writing them all, and then he's dead. And I was like, geez, so I never published it, but that's how things happen. I ended up talking to you. You're an animal lover. You put me in. You
Yes.
heard about the stories, put me in touch with Thomas, and that's how things happen.
And these stories that you've written down as you were walking your dog, or maybe going on a normal walk, what are these stories about?
All kinds of weird stuff. None of them are real. The book is fiction, but it's real. It's the stories. Each of them have something in it that I feel people will benefit from, and that's more or less the point of my writing. Whether it's something that's action, drama, I always want someone to be able to pull something that they can use later on. Maybe not 100% in an uplifting way, but it is something some of them are in an uplifting way. I'd say a great deal of them are, but something you can take away. And the reason way I got that from was from watching The Twilight Zone when I was a kid. Every episode gave you something that you could remember and either use or refer it back to something else and compare it. It was his stories were so brilliant. So I feel this is up there, and I would never compare myself to Rod Serling. He's one of my heroes. But I think he'd be proud of it if he read it.
And do you take the same approach in writing books? Like when you write your scripts, are you doing this? Is it the same formula or two types of things completely different?
That's actually a great question because I only started writing scripts maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I would say, in the manner that I do now. Um, to go from books to scripts was extremely difficult for me. It was almost like I couldn't do it because now you're putting everything a camera needs to see into an action line, but you don't want to put so much that a director has to sit and read it because now that's defeating the purpose. You're not giving the guy a book. You're giving the guy something he can get a ton of information in the shortest little space and facilitate it. Like I need boom, 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 and that's it. So I've gotten to the point where I can write a script now and I can take like an action line and make something that's huge and break it all the way down into the smallest thing and still have the same intent. So it's that much easier for somebody directing it.
And with your experience in writing, and forgive me if I asked you before, and sometimes I tend to forget some of these questions that I asked, not intentionally, of course. During your time in the military, were you writing back then as well, or did it come to you
Not
afterwards?
very good, not very well, I should say, not very good. That shows not very well. I had a lot of ideas and I'd write them down, but I honestly I feel I've gotten a lot smarter through the years because I was a dumb kid and I didn't mean to be. I tried very hard, but there was like nothing there. And I think it took a great deal of trial, error, failure, some success, not just in writing, but in life, to make my brain work in a different way. And I know it sounds weird because usually people start to slip when they get older. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I used to be so sharp." I feel like I'm much sharper now than I was when I was younger because I can sit there and talk all day about all the Didinsky moments in my life, and some of them are pretty embarrassing, but a lot of them weren't intentional. I just wasn't very bright. I don't know. There's no other way to put it. I hate to be so blunt, but it's the truth.
No, I completely understand. School wasn't definitely I wasn't very talented. I basically made it through the skin of my teeth,
So I did
thankfully.
better in college. I have two. I just finished another bachelor's degree in 2024 at URI, and I sat in class with the kids at 48 years old, from 48 to like 50, and I was in the class with 18 to 22-year-olds. It was the most awkward 2.5 years of my life, but I got through it.
All right, now I have to ask
Yeah.
because at one point I was always like the youngest person in a group,
Mhm.
and then in a different kind of group I was about the same age. And now, like when I go to like my job, I'm kind of like the oldest guy there.
Yeah.
So not that I'm uncomfortable, but I can understand what you're saying. So how was that experience like? Did they have conversations with you? Did they say, "Well, how was the '80s or the '70s?" And they're like
No,
nothing like that.
I don't want to knock a whole generation, but there's not a lot of, I didn't see anyway, a whole lot of personality. And like things that, like sometimes when I tell a joke, it's pretty funny because I don't usually, I'm not a joke cracker. I don't write jokes. It's not something I do. But if I do say something, it's usually very relevant and pretty easy to understand in a comical sense. They look at you like you're a brick wall, like no understanding. And even like the teacher, the teachers couldn't get them to answer questions. Like ask questions, like looking out at a dead room, and I was answering like a lot of questions and things like that. And it's like the group events were brutal for me because you couldn't get people to even work. And it's like I was like, wow. I said I'm like doing the bulk of this, and I'm not saying every class was like that, but a great deal of it was like, wow. I said if I had the way I am now when I was a kid, I would have been dangerous. But I was like, that was me. I was like a brick wall. Back then I was too busy chasing girls, not showing up to class. That's what I was doing then. So it's you're older now, so maybe I was more focused now. But it was extremely awkward being in class with them. I imagine it was awkward for them as well. You got this 48-year-old guy, sometimes with a gray beard, sitting in class. So probably it went both ways. It's a different generation.
It is, and you can usually tell with our social media posts what you're dealing with. And it's like, maybe at one time people my age then thought I was weird too. So
Yeah.
I think it happens to every generation. Once we get older, the younger folks are like, "What are they even talking about? I don't even understand your slang. Is that even English?" You
Well,
know,
what's funny about that though? I graduated an associate's degree in '99 at a college in Indiana, and that was the first college I ever went to. From '96 to '99, I got an associate's in computer graphics, and I was living in Indiana for like 6 years. I was 25 when I graduated. A good buddy of mine in the class, he was I think like 20. We had another friend that was 39, a girl that was 37, and this guy that was like 26, and we all hung out, went out to eat together, and did everything. No one cared about the age. Here in this class, I couldn't imagine. They looked at me like I had three heads. It was the weirdest thing. Like they didn't even want to have a conversation. Like they couldn't look you in the face. They're doing this. They're like this. Oh yeah, yeah. Looking at their phone, and it was like it's a different planet, man. It's like wow. I said I used to leave there so uncomfortable. I just wanted to get to my car and go home. But I did well. I had did very well, and it was just and I made friends with one of the teachers, which was cool. He was a real cool guy. I still talk to him today, so that was very positive coming out of it.
or at least you got it done and you got your degree. So congratulations on that, my friend.
Now I appreciate
And
it. It was kind of funny. I have a bachelor's degree from 20 years ago because after I got the associates, I went on and got a bachelor's out in Indiana and never used it. So a lot of those credits transferred into this program. So I only had to go for 2.5 years to get another bachelor's. So that wasn't bad because I had extra like GI Bill money.
not bad at all. And
Yeah.
got it done. And I'm gonna hop on something you just said earlier, talking about you don't joke around too much, right? Many jokes, right?
Yeah, I don't write them, but like sometimes the things I say are pretty funny because I try not to oversay them, but I'll
Yeah.
say them like at the perfect time. At least I feel like they're funny because normal people laugh at them, but in those classes, it was like crickets. Glad I'm not on stage because this is brutal, you know?
Well, no, I understand. No, for sure on that because I was gonna go into your script writing in movies
Okay.
where more of a serious tone at times. There are some parts that are, I guess, some humor in it, but that's not really your focal point.
No, I put the humor in a lot of things, even the darkest stuff, because life, regardless, has some humor. Like, let's say
Mm.
you're out in the woods and you fell into a 10-foot hole at night. Well, you'd be scared, you'd probably be injured, but at some point you'd laugh. Because that's the human, that's how we understand our situation. We sometimes put some type of humor, even though it's not funny, and the rest of that experience isn't going to be funny. There's still something that you'd be like, "Oh God, I don't believe this happened." You might laugh at it later, or if you do get out of it easy, as horrible as it is, you know what I mean? It's always some type of comical spin, regardless of how dark it is. You know.
Right. And well, let's talk about your latest movie. What's the name of it and what is the subject of it?
It's radiators popped as pipes rattled, and it came out on the 23rd of April. Kind of strange, actually. That movie came out on the 23rd of April, the day after my dog died 10 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry, the other way around. That movie came out on the day he died, 22 April, and the book with his picture on it came out the next morning because I thought Thomas would have this done like months later, and it came out the next day. I was like, wow. I say I just talked to him about it a few weeks before. So two big things right around that date, you know. But this movie is about a guy who is extremely beaten down. He's an extremely beaten down character, and it happens in a lot of movies. You see a character's that beaten down and he comes out. But if you get a chance to watch this, nobody would think this guy would pull out of the world that he lives in. Like he's a guy who came from an egg. He finds out. I mean, there's other humans around and this and that, but he literally came from an egg. And the girl he associates with in the story raised him from an egg, but he had feelings toward her because he doesn't remember his childhood. He's not from here. He comes from an egg from someplace else, and she's what's called a being. She, for all intents and purposes, she's a female robot. You'd see her walking down the street, you wouldn't think anything of it. But it's at one point in the story, she goes through her own problems, and he has to now kind of deal with what he's going through to become what he becomes in the end. And I think people, if they take the time to watch it, it's 50 minutes. It's all made, it's a YouTube movie. I made it for like 250 bucks, but I have all great actors in it. It has 9 really good actors in it. And then on January 7th, I put out another 50-minute movie, seemingly Curtis Cusbelch, and I play the star in that one. In the Radiators Popped as Pipes Rattled, the main guy is an actor named Albert Bouvier. He's actually a really good actor, and I hope he gets noticed and gets to do more stuff because he's an excellent actor and a great singer. I have him. I wrote a song and he sings it in the movie. I mean, this guy can sing. He's a fantastic singer. But the other one I mentioned on January 7th, seemingly Curtis Cusbelch, I play Curtis Cusbelch, and that's a great story too. So if anyone out there gets a chance, the Jason J. Tavares YouTube channel, you get 2 50-minute movies, all with very very good. All the people I work with are much better actors and actresses than I am, and they make it that much better. So those are both 2 great movies that people can check out this year. And then on Amazon, of course, Curb Grass, short stories written between walks.
And you make them specifically for YouTube on purpose, or are you looking for distribution, or are you going to keep it there for a while?
Well, I want to be a Hollywood writer, like a screenplay writer. I want to be an in-demand writer where people are calling me and saying, "Hey, man, we need this, 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 and this. This is the budget. This is what we have to work with. This is what we're looking for." Da, da, da. Like they'll give me a sheet. I write it, boom, get paid, and move on to the next script. But I'm not there. I have made some profit here and there on things, but the stuff for the YouTube channel, really all I have is me. On these last 2 50-minute movies, I'm the writer the director, the producer. I act in it. I'm the cinematographer, and I do the post production work. And I'm not that great at the post production work. I could be a lot better. And I try to do extremely tight cuts on these last two 50-minute movies, the ones I mentioned, because I want it to almost have a 70s feel. So there's like, like there's no music in either of them. And I didn't want it to be dry, but I wanted people to be so into the story that they didn't even notice that there wasn't music. A lot like No Country for Old Men. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but that is a great movie and it has no music.
That's kind of rare nowadays, isn't it? For like a major movie not to have some sort of soundtrack to it.
Yeah, and that movie just keeps you because everybody's scared of the main guy that what is it, Anton Sugar is a frightening character. Probably the
And
scariest character since Hannibal Lecter.
well, that's high up there because of Hannibal. So that's something that could really happen. You see what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? It's you might
Have you
read
seen
about
Have you
that.
seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
I have not, but I've
Oh,
seen.
you gotta see that,
Yeah,
man. Tommy
is
Lee
that
Jones is in it. It's excellent, man. Excellent movie.
you'd be amazed at how many movies I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Titanic.
That's a great
Um,
movie.
is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's
Maybe.
probably watching it with your wife. You're married, you said, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
watch it with your wife. I mean, that's what I would probably do. I mean, because she'd enjoy it as well if she hasn't seen it.
We'll probably do that on date night. We're gonna go see the tomorrow because I am that guy. I'm gonna go see that He-Man movie, and I'm either gonna cry or I'm be happy. I haven't decided yet, but I don't care about the reviews. I'm gonna go watch it and have a good time.
Yeah.
But let me get back to I get lost in these things. I'm sorry. Let me get back to it. So with let's get to the experiences you've had in your life, and we'll stick with the movie part at the same time. On the last episode, you shared a lot of stories that's happened to you, whether they're strange or paranormal related. Any of those stories that you shared, would you ever put that in film?
Yeah, actually, I would. I'm gonna do another book, probably through Thomas Markham. I mean, I want to do films with Thomas too. I'm gonna bug him again coming up, see if he wants to, syndicate anything or whatever. I mean, but I want to make a big book of every single paranormal and strange, because not everything's paranormal. Some things are just
Hmm.
really peculiar. That's ever happened to me since 1988, since the Abraham Lincoln one I had told you about when I was like 14. I don't know if did I talk to you about that one on the. I think I did on your show. The
You definitely did. And for
Yeah,
those that
that
may,
one.
may have missed it, I urge you go back and listen to those stories because we're going to be talking about whole new ones on this episode. But that was a very interesting
Oh
story.
yeah, that one would be the first, and I'll run from there all the way up to current time with the book. But you figure how long that book will take to write? It'll take a long time.
And that's okay. I mean, if you write one story a weekend, and
Oh yeah,
as fast as you put out scripts, I
yeah.
mean, you might have something by the end of the year, at least half the book already written.
Oh yeah, because the way Thomas does the covers, I tell you, man, I mean, it'd be nice. Be nice if this book starts doing well, because then it'll motivate me to get another one going. Because I have three others on there already on Amazon. They're just older books, going all the way back to 2008.
Are you allowed to republish those? Those were self-published, right?
Yeah, you know what? I might actually do them through Thomas because he does the voice thing and everything on here, which is fantastic. Because not everybody wants a paperback. Some people want a Kindle. Some people just want the audio version. And I'd like to do those three because since my first book came out, everybody says, "When are you going to do audio?" And I was like, I know. And then I wrote another book. If he's down for it and he can do it, I should republish through him. I would actually like to do that. Re-release all three, get all four of them under his company, and then go with the fifth book.
Listen, don't tempt me. I'm gonna text him as soon as we're done, and he gets tired of hearing from me every once in a while. But I do it because I love the guy. Because
Yeah,
I like when things get done. He does stuff so fast. He's very thorough, and he gives great advice. So not only for young authors, but those out there interested in filmmaking or making videos, he's a great resource to pretty much everything.
got good stuff on that. Tubi. He has
Yeah,
he has things on there. A lot of the Bigfoot. I'd love to go on one of those Bigfoot explorations, man. That'd be awesome.
You gotta be careful on those. He told me I had him on. Actually, his episode that I had him on will drop this Sunday. By the time it'll be 3 weeks from now when yours drops, and he's telling me about all sorts of things in the woods. And the last thing that he's concerned about is Bigfoot. There's always something going on in the woods you don't even know. I'm not a woods guy,
But
but I'll listen to your stories when you go in the woods when you get back from it. So
I
that's
mean,
I got that going for me.
well, you have to be
But
scared of what running up on moonshine distilleries that way, right? That's
uh,
scarier than a Bigfoot. Bigfoot might walk away. Somebody you
yeah,
walk up on might not. You know.
yeah, sir. What are you doing over here? You don't look like you're from this town. No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right, sir. Let me go. I'm going my way. But I bring it up because you talk about Bigfoot. Let's talk about something that's not paranormal, but it's a very strange story.
Okay.
And I love everything about this. I heard a little snippet. I know you're gonna dig deep in it. Let's bring up that
One.
experience you had at the gas station where you almost got killed.
Oh yeah. Back then, I have a movie I made. I wish I had done a lot of it better because now I'm a lot better with cutting scenes. And the last two films, you'll see if you get a chance to check them out, or if somebody else decides to watch them. They're so much tighter than my older stuff. My older stuff has like they're just their stories are good, but they're not as tight as these two. Back then, there was a movie I was already thinking of called Footage, and it's a Bigfoot movie. I ended up making it, and it doesn't look bad. I had a cool outfit. A guy wore that he actually handmade as the Bigfoot. So way before that movie was made, way before I had met that guy, I had the idea for this footage. I'm at a gas station, and I drove a little gray Cherokee back then. I walk in, looking in the candy aisle for crackers or whatever. I turn around, and there's a guy at the counter. He has his back to me. He's got long black hair, and no word of a lie, his shoulders, well, I'd say about here, but not muscular, just a big guy. And his belt, back of his belt was around here. And I look up at this guy, and I'm like, what the heck? Well, he turned around, and because the guy at the counter looked like he saw a ghost. He's like, just, the guy was, I'm like 5'7". This guy was shorter than I am. He's at the counter looking up at the guy. When the guy turned around, he was polite. And I said, man, I said, if you don't mind, I'm looking through my wallet. I gave him a card. I said, I want to make like a Bigfoot movie. And I just think you'd be perfect in it. Well, he turned around. He went, he goes, what am I? A freak? When he put his arms out, man, his arms must have had a reach of like 99 inches. And
It's a hell
I'm
of a
standing there
wingspan.
looking at him. When he said freak, his hair just kind of fell forward and his arms were up. And he slams his hands on his side, stared at me, took his stuff off the counter and walked out. He was driving the cab of a 18-wheeler with like a flat front, like an old. Remember in Terminator 2 when the truck smashes through the bridge and it's chasing Arnold and the kid on the bike? It was that type of front of truck, and that's what he was driving. Well, when I get up to the counter, I'm like white as a ghost, and the guy at the counter he goes, why would you do that? That man frightens me. He goes, and you ask stupid questions to him. Why would you do it? And I was like, I'll take 10 on the Cherokee, like that. He goes, you don't come in here again. Don't come in. He was bugging. I guess the guy comes in and torments him, or he's frightened of him. But I'm scared. This guy's scared. And I went outside. The guy was just driving out of the lot, and I'm thinking that guy could have picked me up by the neck and probably flung me because naturally big at like 7 feet tall, he probably weighed, I would guess, 320. I mean, shoulders like this. With the hair made him look even bigger, but his belt was around here. And I realized at that point, when you're looking for people for movies, which is the moral of the story, have a better way to approach people because not everybody finds it as interesting as you may. And you
Well,
can get yourself killed asking questions.
look, from what I just heard this story, I was like, you got the part. That was a hell of an audition.
Oh, oh, this guy, I mean, if he was chasing you somewhere, I don't care what kind of martial arts somebody knows, you'd run. Common sense would tell you get out of there. Don't let this guy grab you. But
Man.
that was a funny experience, man. I was like, I laughed when I got in the car afterwards, but I wasn't laughing at the time. When he said freak, I was like, freak! You think I'm a freak? He screamed. I was like, just frozen. I'm looking on the floor for a pipe or something. I was like, there's no, he's gonna kill me. I'm dead. I
I'm
don't
like,
think
that's what
there
I'm
is.
looking for, baby. You got the part. Let's go.
Oh,
No, I
imagine that.
mean,
Imagine if someone's
no.
filming me asking him, and you put that into a movie. That would have been awesome. Like a
Yeah,
movie about looking for actors. That would have been really funny.
well, now you got a new idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know now to approach people differently, and like I said, not everybody is as interested in film as you are as making one or casting somebody.
And that's very true. You don't know nowadays what you're going to get, how people are going to react. But
Yeah,
I think, well, if you look at it now, it seems that people are a little more comfortable with it because people are always filming anyway.
yeah.
The cameras are always out, so it might be easier now, but definitely the approach might need to change. But I don't know. You ever think about looking for him?
This guy, no, I hope I never see him again. He was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's okay. I wouldn't want to look at him either. My whole 5 foot nothing, so
Yeah, he was a big dude. I mean, if it wasn't anything like that, he's probably a nice guy because when you turned around initially, he looked like a nice guy, and I really drew that out of him. Not a wise thing to do.
no, no. Next time we'll find something. If you want to do a story about a Bigfoot, there's plenty of big fellas down the street I can
Oh,
talk to.
well,
So
the
we'll
guy
get
who
to.
abused him, I think, was about 6'3", 6'4", with a handmade costume. So I got lucky. I met him through a friend, and it worked out pretty good.
Well, let on the subject of Bigfoot. Have you? Because I know we're talking about your paranormal experiences, and you may have talked about other things on the last episode. What about with cryptids? Have you come close to anything like that?
Yeah, I had a thing, and did I ever tell you the Iowa story? The one
I
that took
think you
place.
did, but let's talk about it again.
I don't want to waste this episode on that. Could somebody flash back on the other one to it about the Patagonian Mara creature I saw in Grimes, Iowa? If I had already told that one before, I mean, I don't want to waste the hour on that one, telling the same story. But there's no way that was real. What I saw, it's impossible that it was real. But I absolutely saw it. I had no alcohol in my system. I don't do drugs. I wasn't coming off surgery medicine. I hadn't had a surgery. But what I saw looked like it was made of black paper. And it was very clear. It was under a parking lot light, Grimes, Iowa, 26 September 2014 at 8:30 at night. It wasn't even super dark because the whole street was lit up. And when I saw that, man, that was the scariest thing I'd ever seen. And it didn't frighten me, it more or less intrigued me. I was almost thankful when I saw it. I said, how many people get to see something like this? But I think if people go to the other episode, man, they check that out. I think they'll, really like it. And it was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Probably the most amazing thing I physically ever saw. Put it that way. One thing, I had a woman in Romania I caught on film that I developed later and saw the picture. But this Patagonian Mara looking creature looked like black paper that I physically saw, had no photo of. So I would say that's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I believe you did show us that picture on the last episode.
Oh yeah, the one from Romania. Yeah, it was funny. I'd
Yeah.
snapped that of two people that were getting married the next day, and I developed it a week later, not even knowing what was on there. The lady at the counter was scared though. She was like, "That's a demonic spirit." And I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, "Wow!" I said, and that was with a cardboard little crank type of disposable plastic cardboard camera.
Yeah, the old style, you had to send them out and get it developed, and now
Oh
everything's
yeah,
on the phone. Yeah.
this was back in 2000. I think it was 2004.
Doesn't seem that long ago either. 2004, 22 years ago. But,
Exactly. That's how I met you because I was on Tours of Terror with Charles Rosenet,
yeah,
and he introduced
Charles
me to you.
Charles is awesome. He's
Yeah,
a good guy. He's always doing something. He loves the Beatles and the Monkeys,
yeah.
if
He's always
anything.
busy. That guy.
Yeah,
Always, well, he is. He's always doing something. That's good. It's good to
yeah,
stay active, man. It's not good to be sedimentary.
true story. And that's how we live long lives, my friend. And then, not to bring up stories we talked about in the last episode. So let's bring up some new things, new experiences, because I know well, this time I'm a little better prepared because we actually have three photos that you shared with me. We're about to share with our good friends and listeners of Let's Find Out. And I'm going to start with one,
Okay.
which is I'm going to bring this up and then you go ahead and let us know what it's about. But it looks to me like some sort of image on a flash. So I'm going to bring this up right now and then go ahead and guide us through this one, my friend.
That is, if you can, well, you can't see my hand, but if I were to point to my left, right past my face at the ceiling, that's my ceiling in this kitchen up there. I think
Oh,
it was 2023, not that long ago, and I'm on the phone with my buddy RC, and he's one of the guys I hang out with when we go out and do like the Bridgewater Triangle. For those out there that don't know what the Bridgewater Triangle is, it's the most paranormal area in the United States. And it's not far from Rhode Island. It's You have Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth make out the points of the triangle. Taunton is in the center, and the Freetown Forest is a huge forest there. We were talking about our experience that we just had in the forest. I'm on the phone, sitting at my kitchen table. My girlfriend's in the living room, and I happen to lean back in the chair while we're talking, and I look up at the ceiling, and that was on the ceiling. Now, much like many of my stories, it was a nice day. Sun was out. It wasn't nighttime. Wasn't storming. And I turn around in my chair, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "What?" And I told him, and I said, "Gabby, come in here." My girl comes in. I said, "What does that look like?" She looks. She goes, "It looks like a demon face looking at you." It must have reflected off something in the kitchen. It wasn't dishes because we don't keep dishes in the sink. We wash them and put them away. But it reflected on the ceiling, and I had to say, "Dude, I got to take this picture." So while I'm talking to him, I snapped a picture, and that's a creepy picture because we're talking about an extremely paranormal place. You know what I mean? That we just came out of on one of our visits, and then that's on the ceiling. So if I hadn't
yeah.
leaned back, I never would have even noticed it.
And as I'm looking at this picture, and I don't think people can see the cursor or the mouse. Are you able to see that? Probably not.
I see
But
like the two eyes, the nose, and like see, it looks like either a beard that comes down in a point, or it could be like an evil mouth, depending on what it is, like a large evil mouth.
yeah, no, yeah, because what I'm looking at there, it's like if I were just to take the head itself and squint, it kind of reminds me of an extraterrestrial classic look, like one of the Greys.
Maybe, yeah.
And
Like the upside down cross in the middle of the face kind of resembles like a bridge of a nose and nostrils.
yeah, and then I see what it looks like an arm extended, and maybe three or four fingers, maybe, but I might be looking too much into it. But it looks like it's stretching out its hands like this. I don't know.
See, like from my view, like you can't see what I'm pointing at, but the two on the top, to me, it looks like two eyes, a nose in the middle, and either like a real gnarly beard, or that could be like a mouth going all the way from the upper right eye all the way down under the nose, depending on what it is. You know what I mean? Like maybe the mouth is that massive.
And it could be, and it's very slender.
Yeah, really
It seems
creepy, man. Like I looked at it and I was like, "Is that looking at me?" Oh, so I took the picture that long. I can actually get you an exact date. Let me open my phone here. I'll scroll right to the picture and it'll tell me when I took it. Because I think I told you 2023. I just want to be 100% with you. Whenever I say something, I always try to have the date. It's not showing me the date for some reason. Damn it. Maybe in a different view of the. Nope. Oh
But
no.
that's all right. So it's within the last few years, it's pretty recent.
Yeah, I would say 20. Oh, here it is. I got it down. I'd say 2023. It would be. Let me see. Yep, here we go. I snapped that April 2nd, 2023. Sounds right.
And with you having this picture, have you shared it with anybody other than me? I'm sure you have. And what is their opinions of it?
Well, you're the first show I've put it on. I've showed it to my neighbors. They're pretty new. They just moved in not long ago. I showed it to them. They were like, "Oh," they thought it was kind of creepy because they like paranormal stuff, which is cool to have neighbors that like paranormal. Um, and I showed it to my neighbor across the street just recently, and she thought it was kind of creepy. But I have showed it to other friends, and they're like, I'd get out of that house and all this. And it's like, oh, a lot of creepy stuff has happened here since the last 7 years that I've lived here, but nothing has physically touched either of us. We just had a lot of weird happenings. Nothing's been broken. No one's been hurt. So, you know, things are going to live among you. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we're all living in shared space.
Yeah,
I mean,
if there is seven dimensions going on, however many dimensions, that's probably a good explanation as to why we see things. Because if they're trans-dimensional or whatever's going on, I mean, there's a lot going on that we'll never understand.
That's very true. Maybe one day, even when we cross over, we may understand, or could be a whole different thing, different mysteries that we're it's all unknown at this point until you get there.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
it's. I know it's. I'm getting really off topic here, but in a stressful world, it's very hard to for people. It's very easy for people to sometimes slip into the area where they want to kill themselves or things like that. And unfortunately, it does happen. But if that does, somebody does think about those things, you always have to kind of remember you don't know where you're going to end up because now you're ending something rather than having it natural. You know, there's always somebody out there that can probably help you so you don't have to get to that point because you don't know what you're going to face if you did something like that, you know?
it's not worth it, man. Just keep
It's
on
not
living.
worth it.
Just
No, I mean, try to get through that day and maybe tomorrow will be better.
100% true, my friend. And then brings us to image number two. And this one, I can see plain as day. I'm cheating because I can see it on the bottom here. I'm going to bring it up. So we're talking about oil tank at this point.
Yeah.
So I
That
brought that
there started out like not that print itself, but I I get a lot of dust. It's a black oil tank in a basement. It's going to get dusty. So unfinished basement. I started out with before I ever found that with just four fingertips on the oil tank in a different spot. And I had noticed it. And I said, geez, I said, well, maybe my girlfriend was down there and she touched it, or maybe I touched it walking by. I thought nothing of it. A little bit of time had passed. Now, this is all pretty recent. This is like maybe, I'd say within a 4 to 5 month time period leading up to this one from about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Um, then I had one that looked like, if you know what military sergeant rank looks like, it's like little mosquito wings, like just basic E5 sergeant. I had three of those upside down, and then next to it a line, and I couldn't. I mean, I'm like a line through it, and like a dot next to it, and that was in there, and that was physically drawn in the dust. So I never took a picture of it. I showed my girlfriend. She goes, "You did that," and I said, "No, I didn't do that. I'm not. You know, I joke around, but when it comes to stuff like this, I don't screw around and get you to believe things that aren't real. I don't do that." So she was like, wow, that's weird. So from that point on, I cleaned it. I cleaned all the dust off of it to get new dust. This was from the new dust. And the guy came to my house one day to work on my furnace. And I have like five different lights when I bought this house in my basement. It's like five different lights down there. It's pretty cool. You can turn this one on or shut this one. It's cool filming down there because you have a lot of illumination from different angles for shadows. I happened to turn the one light on over the oil tank when he came downstairs, and I went, "Oh, geez." And he goes, "Oh, geez, what?" And he said, and I showed it to him, and he goes, "You didn't do that?" I said, "No, that's new. That's new." And I was like excited, and he goes, "Oh man, I wouldn't mess with stuff like that." If you look at it, just the finger, like this is right here. What you're looking at is the curve of the oil tank, because you know an oil tank's kind of curved. This is the curve. That right there, if you could see it up close, it's as if something put its hand on it and rolled it because it goes way down and the thumb sticks out. The thumb's like this long. And when I saw it, I'm looking at it and I try to put my hand near it. It's more narrow than my hand, but the fingers were like this long, and it's creepy. Even the path it takes, you know what I mean? It's like it's. I was like, wow, we don't have kids. Nobody else comes in the house but her and I. So when I saw that, I said, oh, this one I'm taking a picture of. So I snapped a picture of it. And I remember I went on a show, another podcast, a Canadian show, a guy named Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise, it's called. I think that was like 2 months ago. I'm not sure exactly. It was this year. And he asked, he goes, hey, when's the last creepy thing or paranormal thing that happened? And I said, I think it was either today or last night. And I brought up that picture. But I didn't send him the picture. I tried to show it to him on my phone and he couldn't see it, but I explained it. But you get to actually have it on your show, which is cool.
it is very cool. I definitely appreciate that. So with homes, even my homes, like dressers get dusty or certain tables do. Have you seen any prints like this in other parts of the house?
No, not at all. Well, up here on a table, I had something weird on a very dusty part where I have a Nintendo, but I did move the Nintendo. So I don't know if a wire did it, so I wiped that and dismissed it. Excuse me. So I don't think that one was anything, but that down there, there's nothing that could have done that. Because this just the way it's rolled, it looks like that one finger looks almost like it's out this way, and it hits the curve and rolls, and the thumb alone is like this long, but the hand is like the hand piece here is like a square. So I have a friend lives in Salem, and she's like, "Oh, I hope you get to see it." And I said, "I don't want to see it.
Oh
I live
no.
here. I don't want to see what made that handprint." You know what I mean? Because I'd sent her the picture, not on a show, but just for her to see. And then she's like, "Oh wow, like that." And she goes, "Oh, hope you get to see it." I was like, "Yeah, I don't, I don't want to see that down there."
Well, if she's that interested in it, maybe it could pay her a visit and leave you out of it.
Maybe, yeah. Or if it's down there, just be down there when I'm not there, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah. And now, well, something similar. We're not talking dust prints. We're talking actual handprint itself.
Yeah.
Not on dust, but it looks like it made quite an indentation. I'm gonna bring this up, and this is very interesting indeed, my friend. So let's remove that, and there you go.
That's about 10 days old, I would say. I wrote the date down over there. I don't have it in front of me. I would say, because days fly by for some reason lately,
Yep.
maybe 12 days ago, 10 to 12 days ago. Where that is if that crack right there is probably all of 3 to 4 feet away from the oil tank, going upward. Like, I mean, not to the tank itself, leading to the handprint on the tank. The tank itself is like right next to it. This is another room right there. Where that is, I've walked in that room. I've been here for 7 years. I probably walked in that room 1,000 times at a minimum. And with the light on, because the light is to the left, I'd flip the switch, walk into that room. That I was never there. And I looked down, I saw it, and it's not, you can't wipe it off. It looks, and that's not wet concrete, that's old concrete. Looks like something put its hand there and forced it to make the print. And the little finger is very deep for some reason. And you can see a finger here too, but it's faint. But I saw it and I was like, wow. And I had my girlfriend come down and look at it, and she was like, wow, like that. She goes, that I've never seen that before. I said, no, this is new.
And it's not even what I would like to say a human hand, because look how far apart the fingers are with the
Well, I think if
palm.
you put a finger here, like see how there's a faint finger,
Yeah.
but it's small. It looks like it's like a lot smaller than my hand. So maybe, yeah, maybe it isn't him. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's totally different than the handprint on the oil tank. That's for sure. Two different things entirely.
It is. Now, if you're looking at, I mean, of course, you're looking at the picture on the top left of it, it looks like maybe it tried to do another set of fingers on it because it's very small.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a kid's hand, but the force it had to use to put it in there in dry concrete. And why? Why would it be there all of a sudden? That's another thing. My friend had a good point, which I'm not going to do. He goes, "Hey, you should put baby powder on the floor and see what you pick up." And I said, if this was somebody else's house, I would do that, or an empty building or something. I'm not doing it where I live. I don't want to see footprints or anymore. If it shows itself, that's cool and with the way it's doing it. I just don't want to entice anything.
Right. You're not looking to invite. I mean, if it's already there, that's fine, but you're not looking to for it to do some tricks for you either, you know?
Yeah, because now you're like people who do Ouija boards and a lot of investigations. I'm not knocking people that do them. You really don't know what you're doing. We have these set of rules that we use as humans. Like, oh, we can use this, we got this equipment, and that's all cool. And it's at the end of the day, that's great. But at the same time, you have to. You don't know what you're dealing with. Like a lot of people think they're talking to ghosts, and it could be a demon. A demon was never human. And I only know minimal stuff that I've read about it. I'm not an expert in anything like that. But I just know you don't poke a hornet's nest in a sense. You know what I mean?
No, never poke a bear. You don't
No,
like the
I poke a
results.
sleeping bear. Or what's that? Counting coup, they call it, right? Where they slap the bear. Used to be like the Indian tribes would do that because for manhood, you had to go out and slap a sleeping bear.
I wonder how that turned out for some.
I don't know. Bears can run pretty fast. They can swim and climb, and you can't fly, and they can't fly either. So it's a grim situation.
It can be. No, I wouldn't want any part of that.
No.
Now, Have you been doing any investigations lately? Do you have any plans to do any?
We've been talking about some stuff, but I tell you, my whole paranormal stuff in the summer, I don't have a feel for it when the weather's warm. I'm more of a paranormal. If it happens, I mean, I have stuff happens all to me all the time, weird things and strange situations, but I'm more into the mode like around September 15th, ongoing through November 1st, and even after into November. That's kind of my time frame for it. I mean, if something comes up, I'll do it, but otherwise, I don't, go looking for things.
Cooler temperatures, a little
Yeah, I
better.
like it cool. Like I actually hate it when September's red hot and October's warm. Last year we had kind of a warm October. Summer's over. It's supposed to get creepy, dry leaves, cooler weather. Let it be Halloween like it was when I was a kid. I can't stand it when it's warm in October.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like when it rains on Christmas Day, you
Yeah,
know. And it's happened plenty of times, but it is what it is. We can't control any of it. It is.
yeah,
If the holiday means something to you, you'll get through the rain or not. Snow, rain, whatever
yeah.
you want to go.
Yeah, if you really like it cool and crisp around October, then you know go 100 miles north of here, and you're definitely going to get it.
So we're halfway through the year already, my friend. It went by pretty quick, and I know that you have plans to do more writing, and perhaps maybe down the line, of course, September, October, November, December, maybe some investigating is going on. What are you going to be doing in the immediate future? What's going on with you in the next few weeks or months?
I have to get on writing Jemmy, the puppet you met in the last show that we did. I'm doing just like I did those other two 50-minute movies. I'm gonna make a 50-minute movie of Jemmy with the actors I used in the last two films, and I'm gonna try to make it extremely interesting. And you brought up a good point that I really didn't address earlier when you were talking about the intent with my YouTube channel. I only have one camera, and I only have one camera person, really, me and my girlfriend. But at any given time, only one person on the camera because I only have one camera. So I do everything myself, but I don't want to stay that way. That's why I really want to hopefully, work with Thomas Markham and whoever else would like to work with me, because I can act pretty well. I think I'm a great writer. I think, and I have the ability to be even a better writer. And I want to get things made that are extremely professional, but I need a professional crew. I need an actual camera crew. You know what I mean? Like with all the lighting and everything and the sound. I'm doing it all with one camera that's like 14 years old, and I'm not doing too bad with it. But I want to get to that other level to where I can get stuff distributed and be doing it for a living. So that's kind of where I'm at. Also, to answer your question, to address the most current question, that's where I want to get to, and I'm constantly plugging lately on LinkedIn, and now I'm on Facebook, which I got off of years and years ago, but I'm back on. Always trying to find people to do that with because it's not easy. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will be very motivated today, and then tomorrow they don't even want to do it. It's like I run into a great deal of that, like people that are talk to you on the phone for 3 hours and then you don't hear from them again.
No, and that does happen. Like they had the idea sounds great until you have to put it to action. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's good that you weed them out early. You don't want them to flake out on you in the middle of a project either.
Yeah, and weeding stuff out is a lot is good for you too, as the person looking to get something done, because you don't want to spin your wheels. Not only like you said, spinning your wheels, you don't want to get your hopes up because it can actually screw your day up and your time that you're spending. Because if somebody's like, I have a guy I'm friends with, a Hollywood guy, he's gives me a lot of good advice, and he said if somebody doesn't have a budget, they're not showing you a budget and they don't have a distribution deal, you have nothing. And he's right. He's 100% right. And I appreciate the advice because I didn't even realize that stuff then. Because you'll get people that are talking about, oh, we got this actor. You could film a movie and have the greatest movie in the world. If you have nowhere to put it, there's no point. And it's budget and distribution.
Well, the ultimate question then lies in I know we're talking about your YouTube channel and you have your socials. Where can we find more information about you, your books, and of course, your movies?
Well, right now on YouTube and on Amazon, with the newest book being on Amazon, Curb Grass, just my name as it appears on the screen, Jason J. Tavares. And even on Facebook, somebody wants to reach out to me on Facebook, it's the same, or on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Amazon, and YouTube. If there's anyone out there who wants a great script, you throw the ideas at me. I'll write it. We'll come up with a dollar figure of how we're going to get it done in a contract, and we'll move forward from there. Or if you have an idea and you want to look at some of the pre-existing stuff I have that I can sell, I'll send you a synopsis. Or if you're in the Rhode Island area and you want to make a movie, you got the film crew and you want to get something done, we can talk and get something done. I just want to get something done. That's my biggest thing. I don't want any excuses. If we start moving forward, I want it. I'm somebody that wants to get it done.
And that you will, because now not only do you have the new book and we'll be publishing more, a new movie out on YouTube. So me knowing you, even though it's been a short time and we text back each other a couple times a week, I know you're always working hard and I really respect that about you. And I know in the next few months you'll have something released. I'd love to bring you back on because I know that there's much more to cover, not only with experiences that you've had, but let's talk about some of these projects you got coming out.
Yeah, I tell you, like Jemmy will be a really good one. But the thing is, with my YouTube channel, I mean, people kind of look at it and I think they know it's an old camera. But I mean, if anything, when you're watching the film, especially the last two, look at all the great actors in there. There's people in there that could be, the next big name. There's a lot of really good actors in there, and they do jobs. I have a stockbroker in there. I got people that drive trucks. I got people that do different jobs, and they're in the films, and they have great qualities where they could really become something. But they're already something in the civilian world. But maybe if they wanted to get into this, it's just very hard to break in. So I think there's a great selection on my channel that, if anything, it's entertaining because the stories are very good.
And that's what it's all about, entertaining the people. And before we go, because now I'm interested, when you were here last time, we got a lot of comments about Jimmy
Oh, yeah.
and people who've had experiences with him, some of your friends as well. Has he been active lately?
Lately, I'm trying to think. Not in a while. When I came back, I think I told you the story when I came back from Bermuda. Strange things took place. I don't know if I ever told you that story. That was a while ago. That was in 2024. And then I told you the electrical story, right? When my friend came over and the power went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, he's never physically done anything. He's never moved. But it's weird with all the oddities that have taken place with him. I know it sounds silly. I'm almost scared to film him alone because I give him a respect as something that could be a conduit. So even when I put him back in his box in the basement, which has locks on it, it's all a cushioned box. I treat him like, with respect because, hey, if there is something living in him, I don't want to disrupt it. You know what I mean? And so you got to be a little nervous even filming it. Yeah, I know it's kind of
Yeah,
superstitious, but it's just kind of, I've had it for 10 years now, or I had him for 10 years now. So,
and that's a good amount of time. He must really like you because he doesn't seem to do anything nefarious towards you.
no, just
So
odd, just odd.
you're a good caretaker.
Yeah, I try to treat him with respect like you would with anything else.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the film about him, and I look forward to having you back on the show later this year, man. Like I said, I really respect what you're doing, and let's get you back on soon.
Now, you said you have more time left in the hour, or are you at the end of the hour?
Oh, we got all the time in the world. What do you got, brother?
Well, if you wanted me to, now that we got through the initial stuff, I could pull out any of the old stuff if you wanted me to cover something. Because on our show, do you remember on our show, the last one we did, I discussed running into people again?
Yes.
I left something out of that, and I didn't realize it till I got off your show. We talked about a military major that I ran into in Arkansas. I was talking about him, and he walked by the table. Do you remember? Did I discuss that on the last show?
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of shows, and I did other shows. I really don't remember me covering that, but I remember touching on points of bumping into people, running into people in strange places. I think I told you a story on that one. One of the biggest ones on there, I think this is the one I left out. I had run into a guy. Well, I met a guy in Chicago, first off. I graduated basic training and field artillery school in 1992. And back then, when you graduated, you went home in your green dress Class A uniform. You just graduated, you're going home to visit your family on leave before, you either go home for good if you're National Guard or Reserve, or you go leaving for active duty. I was going home to go visit my family and then go, on active duty for 4 years. So I'm at the airport and everybody's talking. There's a guy there. I met him and he was pretty cool. I remember he was holding his newspaper kind of funny when I had walked up after checking in my ticket. So everyone's talking. It's around the holidays and he was a couple years older. I think he was like 26, 27, or whatever. No, probably like 24 to 26. I was 18. And he goes, so what are you doing next? I said, well, I just graduated artillery school. I'm going back to Rhode Island, visit my family. And then I'm going to be in Kentucky at Fort Campbell for, however long they need me there. So small talk, everyone had a good conversation. That was it. 10 years later, I'm now living in Indiana. I'm at the O'Hare Airport again. Civilian clothes. I'm in the National Guard now, Indiana National Guard. Going to college out there in Indiana, or graduating college in Indiana. Here I'm 28 years old. I'm at one of the terminals and I look to my left. A whole crowd of people. Airports are very, very busy. I see a guy's newspaper like this with his legs crossed. And I looked again. It was the same way that guy had been holding his paper when I was 18. So I don't know why it triggered me, but I walked over there and he had told me when I was 18, we were all talking that he was getting married soon. So I went up to this guy. I looked insane. I said, how was the wedding? He put the paper down. He goes, excuse me? And I said, well, I think you're the person I talked to 10 years ago. And you told me he was a little heavier now, the guy. And I said, you were getting married. I had on an army uniform. I had a brown bag with me, the pointed army cap on 9 yards. And he goes, I remember. He goes, wait, how did you remember me? He was like freaked. People around him are like looking and listening. And I said, the way you held your paper. When I walked up that day to come sit down, I wasn't, when I was 18, I wasn't walking over to talk to this guy. He had started talking to me. Everybody was talking. It was holidays. When I walked up this time, it was the same scenario about 10 years later. Guy's holding the paper, and I explained it. He goes, that's amazing, because you work for the CIA or anything? I said, no. I explained what I saw, and I related it to what I saw when I was 18. So now we had everybody talking again, just like at the holiday. So, when it was all, the moment was over, I told him, I said, hey, I'll see you in 10 years. And he started laughing. He goes, all right, man, I'll see you in 10 years. And he's like, that's amazing. That guy pointed me out. That's amazing. So that was part of the story that I hadn't told you when I told you on the other episode, all the ones that, I was running into people in different places. That one was probably one of the most peculiar because it was a decade apart. What are the chances? Same airport, guy's holding his paper the same way, like a decade later. Here I am, 18 to 28, and he remembered me, which is weird. And I remembered him off the newspaper. If he hadn't had his newspaper like that, the way his legs were crossed, I would have walked by and just sat down because I've been on an airplanes, a million times between those dates.
You have steel trap memory. I think sometimes you might get a little bit of help from above just to remember certain moments, and because something like that, I mean,
yeah, that's why would you
yeah,
remember that? You know what I mean? Why would you remember the angle, the leg I was always very fond of that moment though, because you're going home and everyone's seeing people all happy at Christmas, talking about where they're going, and this guy's getting married soon. Here I am. Hey, I'm going on my leave for 10 days. I'm going to the base, and he wished me luck, and I said, hey, good luck on you, getting married and so on and so forth. Um, and he did end up getting married. So he was like, do I know you? He was like blown away. This guy. So yeah, I never saw him again after that. There was no 10 years later. I guess that was it.
so and you asked that could have gone either way. You say,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I was gonna get married, but at least it was okay.
yeah. It was a positive story. He didn't have anything. At least he didn't go freak like the guy at the gas station. Where you think I'm a freak to try to attack me or something.
Oh no, that's I think we've all would have been running too as well. Man, I tell you
Oh
what, I
yeah,
know that I remember the story you said about the teacher that you met.
yeah. That was nuts,
And
man. That was one of the ones. So I did tell you that. It's cool that you're right there. That was mind blowing, dude. I'm a new recruiter at a school, army recruiter, and I'm talking to the teacher on the phone, and she's telling me she can't see me till next week because she's going out of town. I said, hey, I'm going out of town for a few days too. Never saying where I was going. She never said where she was going. Talked on the phone. She knew my name, and that was it. And I said, well, I'll see you like Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. I said, I'll see you, and to come in, because what recruiters do is they'll go to a school and like teach a gym class all day. And then, the kids that are, students that are interested in finding out more, you give them a card and you set up an appointment to meet with them and their families. So everybody can hear the information at once. And that's, it's kind of to break the ice and to have them be comfortable and familiar with you as the recruiter at the school. So it's a tactic that all services use, and it actually builds rapport with the school as well, more like a community. So I only talk to her on the phone. I'm coming out of what did I say, the Empire State Building last time? It was the Empire State Building. Coming out of the Empire State Building, and I bumped shoulders with this woman. And I said, oh, excuse me, like that. She was with a friend, and I was with a friend of mine. And I look, and I said, hey, I said, I'm going to be the new recruiter at that school. And she went, Jason? Tavares? She said my name like that. And she went, she goes, how are you here? And her friend goes, that's the new recruiter? So she either was a teacher or somebody that she spoke of me. And my friend was freaked out. He's like, what the heck? We didn't know she was going to New York. I was going to New York. And even if we did, what are the odds that you're going to hit shoulders with somebody? I wouldn't have known it was her if her zip-up coat didn't have the school name. That's what caught me. I said, hey, you're a teacher at that school? And she went, yeah. She goes, I'm the gym teacher. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a recruiter there. Her face was like blown away, man. It was when I talked to her when I got to the school. That was a good icebreaker because she had all the teachers over there explaining that story and everything. So that was cool because we all had a good laugh for my first day there.
And you think you'd recognize me in public?
You wear a hat a lot, but I probably would because of your glasses, and you're always unshaved. If you shaved and had contacts, I'd walk right by you probably.
Yeah, it's kind of the look in my neighborhood. I'm quite a like a Fabio of the neighborhood with his beard. That's all right. Yeah, why not? Right? I'm gonna go with it, even though he never had. I don't think he can grow a beard, but that's a whole different thing anyway. But no, I think I would recognize you for sure. Definitely, I would recognize your voice if you were talking, and we're definitely gonna cross paths eventually. Now that you and I, we have had plenty of conversations. We might, you, me, and Thomas get together. We'll do something, man. There's always something to be done.
Got to make a
And
movie, man. What's your acting background? I've never asked you that because I know you read a
uh,
book, right?
next to zero, but I was a sports entertainer at one time, so I can probably do some pretty decent stunts for you. And but yeah, we'll definitely do something. I think I could recognize. I could probably memorize a couple of lines, but I play a good dead guy, so that's.
You wrote a book though, didn't you? Didn't you publish a book?
I did. I gotta send you a copy. I forgot to. So we'll once we get done here, I'm gonna get your address or give me a PO box so I won't stalk you, and I'll send you a book out. No problem.
Well, if I ever did an episode on stalkers, that's an episode I could do. I've had probably more male stalkers than some celebrities.
All right, so we're gonna definitely do that. I'm gonna bring you on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. We're gonna talk about stalkers and
I've
yeah,
had some weird stories, man. I had some stuff, just weird things like, actually, I'd rather not do that because if they're listening and I want someone to say, hey, that was me and refuel it. But I guess I could tell you one right now. How about that? We'll do one right now if you have the
yes.
time. And I don't want to do a series of it, but I might tie some stuff into other stories I write. But okay, I had I'm trying to think the best one. I had a guy that I went to school with, and we took a bus home back to Rhode Island. Well, he went to New York. I went to Rhode Island for Christmas. Stupid me. He goes, oh, it's so cheap. It's only like 80 or 90 bucks. I didn't realize it took 25 hours. So from Indiana to Rhode Island was like a 25-hour bus ride because of stops, or maybe 29 hours. He got off in New York. His was only like 20 something hours. So it took the bus home instead of taking a plane, which would only cost a little bit more. And I would have been home in like 2.5 hours with a direct flight. I ride the bus with this guy all that way. He gets off in New York. I get off in Rhode Island. I'm home for about 10 days. I get a letter in the mail that's this thick from him, written on both sides about what a piece of crap I am and how I treat him like garbage. And he's not coming back to school because he doesn't want to see me and he wants nothing to do with Indiana. Da, da, da. This was like a psycho note. So I'm reading this thing, both sides, huge, like an industrial staple in it. So he must have had an industrial stapler at some point. I bring it back to school, when my vacation's done, and we have like a break area where all my buddies of mine, like remember that group I told you about, where it was a 39-year-old, a 38-year-old, a 26-year-old, and that's the group that I hung out with at this community college in Indiana. That's what I was telling you about earlier. So I'm showing this note to him. This guy comes in the door of the school. He goes, "Hey, I haven't seen you since the bus ride." Da, da, da. Like nothing happened. And he comes over.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "What the heck?" And he's talking to us. And I said, "Dude, what is this that you sent me?" And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about that. I wasn't feeling that good when I wrote that." By the time I had gotten that letter, it was as if he had dropped it in the mail in New York because I got it just 2 or 3 days later in Rhode Island. So he had to have already had it written, or maybe wanted to hand it to me when he got off the bus in New York, and I went the rest of the way to Rhode Island. So I don't talk to the guy after that. I see him around school. I say, "Hey man, I just don't want to talk to you." It was real freaky. It was weird. I didn't want a big note like that when I'm home at Christmas, and it was just odd, and it kind of screwed up my vacation time. Not completely, but it put a little notch in it that you don't want to have around the holidays because other things can happen anyway to ruin a holiday, and that kind of just put a bad taste in my mouth. So long story short, I graduate that college, never really talked to the guy again. 2 years later, no contact with this guy. I'm dating a girl, and I was in Rhode Island again on vacation, and she had the key to my apartment. She was a really cool, trustworthy person. She was nice enough to wash a big pile of clothes that I had in my laundry basket when I was gone. She told me, she called me up and she goes, "I'm a little freaked out." I said, "Are you okay?" She goes, "I walked into your apartment, and it was like a big old nice apartment complex. There was multiple units. She walked in, closed the door, and I guess forgot something outside. When she opened the door, there was a little filing cabinet outside with 3 drawers. And she opened the drawers, and one of the drawers said in there, 'I'll always be watching, Alex,' because the guy's name was Alex. And she called me, and I'm like, Alex P. He had put on there. And I'm like, Alex. And I went, "Oh my God." I said, "I know who it is." She goes, "Are you serious? Is it a girl?" I said, "No, it's a guy." And I explained the story on the phone that I just told you. So he had to have followed her in the building. Now, I hadn't physically seen the guy, spoke to the guy, or anything. And this is like 2 years later, but also around Christmas. That's freaky, huh?
It is. It's almost kind of like the reverse of what you do. You run into people every 10 years or so often, but this is kind of like the bizarro world version of
Yeah,
it.
when someone leaves something like that, like they've been watching, and on top of it, where I lived when I went to school and where I was living at that time, there was like a huge, not a monstrous gap, but it's the other side of the city. So I mean, it's easy to track people, but it wasn't that easy in like 2000, 2001. I guess you could have Googled it then, I imagine, but I think it takes a great deal of time back then to track somebody down to that point. Where was he standing when she went into the apartment, opened the door, and then it was sitting there? He had to have ducked into the laundry room, or maybe went up the stairs and hid. That's just creepy because she could have been at risk if it went that way. You know what I mean? I think about that now, and I thought about that then. And I told her, I said, "Go in the apartment, lock the door, don't go back out. If you need to call the police, and just check the inside of the apartment, check everything, closets, whole nine yards." She did, and nothing ever came of it.
You know, that could have gone sideways there. I
Yeah,
know
it
that
really
could have
could
been
have. Been.
that could have been an episode of Law and Order.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Cause I'm at home, and you're defenseless. You're 850 miles away. I'm in Rhode Island. She's in Indiana, calling me. And on that night, actually didn't go out with anybody or nothing. I'm home on vacation. No one was home. I was at my mom's, just crashing there while I was home on vacation. And sitting in an empty apartment, now your mind really wanders. I didn't have a cell phone then. She called a house phone. But she said the concern in her voice was, you can't do anything about it. You're not there. You're almost 1,000 miles away.
Any letters since then?
No, nothing. Never. Thank God. I mean, it's been a long time since then, being that like 00 or 01, So.
Did you keep them?
No, I don't know where that is. It may be somewhere. I think I maybe gave it away or threw it away or that. When you're younger, I hung on to some things that I probably should have hung on to, because this, just the industrial staple alone, that took some force. He had to either hack that thing or we went to a construction site. I don't know, but the writing was like that movie Seven, the guy who had all the notebooks. I mean, it was like serial killer writing on both sides, but just of what a piece of crap I am. And it's kind of funny because I was one of the only people to talk to this guy. Most people wouldn't talk to him because he was a little off. But I said, I'm a little off, and you guys talk to me. And they said, yeah, but not like him. And I had a friend back then, this girl, Dawn, I remember, and she told, this is like, way back when, she told me, she goes, you know something? She goes, I warned you and I told you about him and I didn't even know him, and you still didn't listen to me. And I said, well, it's not a matter of listening to somebody or not. The guy seemed like a nice guy. I kind of took a chance on him, and he ended up being a nut. So, but nothing bad came of it physically, so that's good.
Yeah, unfortunately, but eventually you'll probably see his name in the news. But let's not try to encourage this guy. And but think about it. We'll bring you back on the other show if you want to talk about some of these stalker stories, change their names, and I think we got something there, brother.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff, man. A lot of strange happenings.
Yeah, that's why this show is around, my friend. Thanks for coming back on, man. I'll have you on soon, and we're gonna make some stuff happen, brother.
Definitely, man. I think we got a good group. This networking thing, I'm doing it all over LinkedIn more than I ever did before, and I think just even between you two guys, I got you two guys, and I think like you said, we can make something happen if we want to.
Definitely will, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great night, man.
Copyright Diego the Podcaster. All content for Let's Find Out is the property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Let's Find Out. The information shared on Let's Find Out with Diego is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.